So just listening to, or I'm just tipping into the podcast with Elon Musk and Lex Friedman about Neuralink, which is just really interesting. And I wanted to flow on from one of the things they said and kind of map out a concept that I believe, if I can explain it properly and if you can grasp it, you'll understand the kind of, it's the absurd actual situation we're in. And he mentioned they joked and they're like 90% of computing power at the moment is going towards frivolous, hedonistic sex in one way or another. And look, I'm a participant of this, 100%. It's true. It's not just pornography and dating apps and things like that. It's like even a lot of our communication, if you get down to the base thing, especially for men, but also for women, and increasingly for women, more so than perhaps any time in history. Frivolous sex is consuming both our minds, our resources, and our computing, which is a resource. And if you think, what is the basic logistical concept that's going on? It's pairing up men and women for fleeting sexual encounters. And in the process of doing this, say that's the elevated goal. All things then fall under that same umbrella. So that means work. You work so you can get money in. And a lot of men, especially single men, they will spend the majority of their money on trying to get laid. That might be in the form of going out and buying drinks or buying a nice car or anything like that. So the whole logistics of a civilization, you can track to it's like the paperclip generator, except we're not generating paperclips because we're bypassing them generating anything. It's just sex. And I don't actually think this is it's not so much a problem, it's a temporary phenomenon that's emerged. And what I'm going to, this next statement is probably the most powerful statement I think I've ever made. And I've kind of hinted at it in other videos, but we are at the dawn of the obsolescence of cities. And the reason I believe this is true is because I don't live in a city. I live an hour away from a city. I live in like a small village, small town. And I went through it quite in depth, not fully in depth. And I went, what is a city? It's a distribution center. It's a place to meet. It's a place to exchange information. It's a place to have sex. That does work. It's the dynamics behind that are different because there's less anonymity. I can't say that word. Anonymity. There we go. In small towns. So the act of having kind of frivolous sexual encounters is a more difficult one. It's kind of, you don't shit where you eat. There's reputation. There's all kinds of things that make that not a possibility in small town. And the thing I think we need right now, I spoke about the other day how the pharmaceutical companies got liability protection against any perhaps damages that might arise from their vaccines. We need liability protection to put a ring around metropolitan areas to prevent them having any impact on the legislative laws, procedures, etc., of the greater region that's outside city centres, because city centres are no longer necessary in the running of civilization, because the city centre has been taken over by the internet. We have the metropolis of information flow, of interconnectivity, of shopping, of purchasing, of learning, of education, of distribution of media, of distribution of entertainment. Everything that people relied on cities for has now been absolutely replaced by the internet, bar one thing: a collective space where large numbers of people can benefit from anonymity to have frivolous sexual activity. Now, I'm not saying we need to end cities. We need to recategorize cities, that entire metropolitan region, as a casino, because that's what it is. It's a casino. And at the moment, because there's nothing wrong with casinos when you know it's a casino. There is something massively wrong when that casino, when that frivolous, self-centered, selfish, over-exuberant, completely extractive, destructive force on the greater landscape is affecting that. Because it's the same as effect as, you want to talk about colonialism. Every region, Western Australia is colonised by Perth City and by the government of Western Australia being based in Perth City. When I look at Perth City, I see a casino. When I'm in my region, I know the major threats to this region, which are actually major threats to that region as well. You're just oblivious to it because you're surrounded by entertainment and pornography and sex and dating and Uber Eats and every other thing, and gambling and fucking the block and maths and every other thing that's being piped into you to keep that casino going. But I don't gamble, and I don't gamble with our environment. And that at the moment is what is going on in thousands and thousands of hectares of agricultural land. So my solution is to recategorize cities as casinos. Because at the moment, I have a casino trying to rob me when I never entered that casino. That's not what I was doing. I actually have 15 years under my belt of knowing the problems that are here, knowing the solutions. Now think about this. That same logistical model that moves everyone around. Everyone gets to work, everyone gets home safe, everyone gets their food. Distribution working, isn't it? Yep, it's working. We have an amazing distribution logistical system to make sure everyone is satisfied enough to the point where they can actually explore frivolous sexual activity. Something that at the moment, I've, for the first time in my life, by the way, I'm not a fucking angel, I've pushed out of my priorities, mainly because of my location and my situation and all these things. It's not like I'm celibate. I still really, really like doing that, but I'm just not prioritizing it at the moment. So our systems work very well to get all those things done. Now, let's take another piece of land. I'm on a 1.5 acre property here. There are stone fruit trees here in a grass field. Fertilizer has been removed off this property. It is grazed by sheep. It's returning to symbiosis, to a healthy environment. But one thing that's happening is those stone fruit are not fertilized. So they're not producing very heavily. And that could be a few things. It could be potassium deficiency. It could be lots of different things. If you took one chicken that lays one egg, so when you buy a carton of eggs, that has 12 eggs in it. So that's 12 chickens' daily output. One chicken shitting on one tree a day, like just that, will increase the output of that stone fruit tree astonishingly. Astonishingly. And we're not talking about humans. So what we've done, we've taken all our technology, all our distribution, the phone and the digital system that now encompasses us completely, and we can move people to school and work, and we can entertain them, and we can watch the Olympics, and we can do all these things, and people can get their Coles delivery on time. All these moving human beings in the city, metropolitan area, all interconnected by this big web that gets everything done. But we can't get a fucking chicken to shit on a tree. And if you look at the metropolitan region, that is like this. Perth City, even the fucking abominous fucking urban sprawl that we exist in, if you look at it on Western Australia, it's that. It's about that compared to the phone. That little spot there, and then the rest of the phone is Western Australia. Things like being able to get a chicken to shit on the right tree could potentially increase the output of the entire rest of that region. Now, why can't we do that? But we can deliver you high definition pornography to your house while you order a double, I'll say like a burger with a nice fried egg on there. And perhaps, you know what I mean? A peach crumble or something like that to get your peach in there as well. But we can't get a chicken. You know what I mean? We quite happily shove them in fucking cages or shove them in sheds or shove them in whatever, right? We obviously have a lesser relationship with chickens. We're quite happy with the abuse that's going on with chickens. Yeah? So isn't that strange that we are quite comfortable with the manipulation of humanity to keep this whole logistical sex party going? You know what I mean? This big Greek fucking toga party of sex and fucking digital sex, meaningless, hedonistic sex. But we can't get a chicken to shit on a tree. We can't get a sheep to eat an undesirable tree. And these are really small things. If you think of one tree, one chicken, this is like, that's a very small thing. And when we look at Western Australia, it's a very large area. Especially the stations up north, you know, that are conveniently owned by the same people that employ you to go up on the mines. That's where it gets to, it's like, those cows are just left there. They're left there just wandering around doing whatever the fuck they want, right? At all, in the majority of what we call Western Australia. We have that. And we have goats and we have everything. So this is again, and that is doing a lot of damage. Those animals on that, unchecked, unmoved. Because what they do, their version of the hedonistic trap we're in, they do fuck whenever they want and they breed and they think. That's the thing about feral pigs. So there is that going on as well, but they're actually reproducing. They don't just fuck for fun like dolphins. But what they do is their version of sex, because they're mainly concerned with food. You know, they seasonally breed. They're different than humans. So their fucking hedonistic sex is food, and it's their favourite food. So they selectively graze. And when they selectively graze, when there isn't a pressure, because generally they'd be pushed into areas by predators, and that was Aboriginal people and predators, dingoes, and in other countries it's large cats, wolves, hyenas, things like that. And as majority of the time it's been humans. Even in Australia, it was drovers, which we now don't have. We have a different disconnect because we've just left it. We've gone, let's just all have a big sex party and let the cows eat the state because no one cares. No one can see it. No one fucking knows what's going on. No one fucking cares because you're all just living in utopia here. So you can see how if AI actually had capacity of everything in the human planet, and I explain to AI that, you know what I mean? It just does one thing very quickly. It drops a nuclear bomb on every fucking city in the world at the same time. It goes whoop, gone. Now probably we're not at that stage. But maybe if you knew, imagine next door you lived in a suburb in Perth. And it's a pretty nice suburb, everything's kind of working. And then some undesirables move in next door, right? And that place becomes a 24/7 fucking house party, gambling, sex party, drug fucking den. What does your system, your metropolitan system, do to that? They put them in jail. Don't they? Eventually, once enough complaints are made, enough arrests are made, enough things and enough evidence is gained, they take those people, they move them away and they put them in jail, generally, if they're doing illegal activity. If they're doing destructive activity to the entire suburb, they'll be moved on. Unless it's a fucking suburb that we just forget about, then the whole suburb becomes that, and then you kind of just talk about it as a suburb. So the way most metropolitans, say you live in Dalkeith or Peppermint Grove or wherever in Perth that you think you've got everything under control, I'm sure you're a little bit concerned about what's going on in Balga, but not really, because it's far enough away that you don't give a fuck. But if that Balga started affecting you, affecting your ability to make money, to feed yourself, the security of your children, the security of everything, the education of your children, all those things, what do fucking rich people do when that fucking happens? They send them to Australia, don't they? They send them to Australia. That's what actually happened. The undesirables were sent to Australia. From my perspective, and the perspective of a lot of people, your metropolitan region tied into a global ring of metropolitan regions, all just fucking, or the whole fucking big orgy fucking drug fest yous are having. You're the undesirable suburb. And ecologically, you're not just destroying your own suburb, you're contributing to the absolute neglect and destruction of the entire state and then expand that the entire country. And why? Because you can't get a chicken to shit on a tree. If you want to talk about the cows, you can't figure out to get dogs and put collars on them with GPS things to move them across your thousands of hectares. Yet you can fly thousands and thousands of employees, all the logistics, every plane ticket, every donga, every meal, every other aspect of running a resource into making sure their families are educated, making sure your taxes paid, making sure they have uniforms, making sure that the machines are all got their parts, everything like that. Your focused little entity of resource production and that you can do. That's do you know how much more complicated human beings are to get to do things than a chicken is? But we can't get a chicken to shit on a tree, and we can't get dogs to move your fucking cattle across your thousands and thousands and thousands of hectares that you pay fuck all for. What is that called? It's called gross negligence. In any book, gross negligence. And why is it happening? Because Australia is too big. Western Australia is too big. Our mindset hasn't gone through the necessary development process that happened in other regions. We came here with fucking tractors. We came here with machines, with steam engines, with fucking everything. And now we're in fucking porn utopia fucking digital land that is incredibly things. But we've missed, especially in Australia and Western Australia, we've missed 80 to 90% of what would be sustainable development on our land base. And you want to know why I'm saying this to the royal family? Because the royal family owns that land. So they're very concerned with that. King Charles has been one of the leading proponents in organic farming, in sustainable development, in all those things that you don't want to worry about because your burger's about to be here in 10 minutes, your Uber's about to take you down to Crown, and you've got a really good feeling about number 9 in the race at Ascot at fucking 3 o'clock. So I don't have a problem with casinos. My family were bookies for years and years and years and years and years and years back, okay? Casinos are fucking great. when they've got a fucking wall around them, when they've got a car park, when the rules of the casino are the casino and the outside of the casino isn't the casino. And we've stretched this over East, they've stretched this into pubs and RSLs, and we've got pokie machines, but we don't turn the world into a fucking casino. And why don't we do that? Because if you do that, you might not figure out how to get a chicken to shit on a fucking tree.